Hi, I'm Shantel Segolela, and yes, Segolela, you heard it right. I'm married to a black South African man and very proud of it. We met at an HIV/AIDS conference in Yeovil. I was selected from my organization to go, and so was he. Got to the conference and there was a whole lot of people, and of course I was the only Indian at the conference, which I was comfortable enough to be there. He was chosen as the male representative and I was chosen as the female representative to work on a report at the end of this conference that we would need to submit to the people who were running the conference. And every night we had to work together. And obviously this started a relationship where we got to know each other on a professional level. And from the conference, a couple of weeks later, we started to work together at my organization. And I think the more we worked together, the more we realized there's something there. And I think we were both a little bit nervous because we were two different races. I mean, him being a black South African man, we were not used to this. So I think we were both nervous, but then decided that, look, we have feelings and what do we do about it? We sat down and discussed it because it's not your normal relationship, and kind of figured out how were we gonna handle the relationship, how would we handle the community, and what would our family say about this. We then decided it was more important what we felt and that we were going to give it a chance regardless of the color of our skin, and that's exactly what we did. And we started dating. At first we kept it under wraps and very quiet because we were not sure ourselves how this was going to work out for the two of us, and we thought before we announce it and upset people, let us first figure out how the relationship is between the two of us and then we'll announce it. We dated for a while, and as the relationship grew stronger, we then decided we will now share the news with our families. From his family, they were very used to different races coming in and out of the home because his family has been very involved in the community as well, and so they've always been open to that. He's been a basketball player, and so very often within basketball they had different races come to Soweto and play, and he would take some of those young guys back home, and the family got used to having different races at home. So they weren't really concerned about the relationship, but they did ask him a few, I think, which was necessary questions about, is he ready for this? It is an Indian community, a girl that's from the Indian community. Would he be able to handle what's going to come at him if people are unhappy? And so obviously they asked him those questions, but they were not really concerned or in any event about my color of my skin. It was more, will he be able to handle what he's getting himself into? Of course, from my side, yes, an Indian side, there's always going to be challenges because of what Indians were told during apartheid. In their minds, you cannot come home with an African man. It's not going to work, more especially a black South African man. That's a no-no. When I first announced it to my parents, I sat them down and told them this is what I am doing, not what I'm going to do. This is what I'm involved in. This is the relationship that I am with, and this is the man who I've decided to date. My parents, my father was not very happy about it, and he found it very challenging himself and said, unfortunately, he can't accept that. And if I do choose to date this man, then he's not allowed to come into our house. My mom said yes, because we come from a Christian family. It is a challenge. You know, they know that it's wrong to like or approve or disapprove people because of the color of their skin, but I do need to understand where they're coming from. They come from the apartheid era, and it's not easy for them to openly accept another race into the home. And so it was very challenging for my parents, which I obviously understood. So going into explaining to them, I knew already there was going to be the challenge because of what apartheid has done to the mindset of people. But after I explained to my parents, we came to an agreement that my boyfriend is not allowed to come to the house and visit me. We will see each other at the mall or at the movies or wherever it is that we see each other. And that was the end of the story. And that's how it went on for a good couple of years until eventually they got to know him, I think, a little bit more, and that changed for them. I can safely say today we don't have those challenges. My parents have openly accepted my husband, and so is my brother and my sister. And I think my immediate family and a little bit of the extended family has fully embraced the fact that I'm married to this man. He's part of the family, and because of the person he is, they've now all openly accepted him fully into our family. his family. We still have an awesome relationship, and I've never ever encountered any bit of racism or a disapproval feelings from his family, none whatsoever. Whenever I've gone into Soweto and their home, I've been warmly welcomed, and I felt that every single time. Never fully accepted in my community, and I still think up until today it seems like it's a shock when people see us shopping or at a mall. I still get the stares like, are you for real? Is that your husband? Is that the guy who's helping you push the trolley? Not sure really who he is. And we definitely, in the community, people always stare, and the stare is almost like, how could you? Or what are you doing? Not openly saying it, but that's kind of what's coming across. In Soweto, I think the community seemed to be a bit open, but personally, they would definitely go to my husband at that time, my boyfriend, and ask him, like, why would you choose to date out of your race? There are so many girls in the area. There are so many educated young ladies. Why would you choose to go out of your own race? And so he did come up against some questions and some people that completely disapproved of his relationship with me. But he stood his ground and felt that it's got nothing to do with the color of her skin. I'm choosing to date her because we have a lot in common and we see that there's a potential in this relationship. I think, well, her name is Azania, which in the apartheid days, South Africa was known as Azania. And so, yes, we've chosen the name. But not because of those reasons, for other reasons where her name actually means God is hearing us in Swahili. And for me, Azania is 6 years old. Definitely a lot of questions, because when she goes to events and functions, she doesn't see a lot of mixed race couples, and it's really myself and her dad. For a long time, Azania had no clue that her father was a black South African man and her mother is an Indian lady. In her innocent eyes, she saw us all as just different shades of color. Never really understood that there's a white child and there's a colored child. For her, everybody's the same, and you just all have different colors on your skin, and that's really all it is. We eventually started sharing with Azania the importance of understanding the different races, because we felt that sometimes children out there can be harsh and they can cross-question her and she wouldn't know what to say. And we felt, so for her own sanity, let's start to begin informing her about what had happened in our country. And so we've shared with her the difficulties and the struggles, and she cannot understand. And often her question is, Mummy, because of the color of Daddy's skin, people would treat him bad. And for her, she cannot fathom that. And even when she watches certain movies on TV, her question is always, that is so wrong, the way they treat people because of the color of the skin. So we've shown her movies like Serafina and so forth, just for her to get an idea. Especially being 6 years old, she's asking about why we're celebrating things like June 16th. And so the more we begin to share, the more the questions are coming out now. But it's lovely seeing a child who doesn't care about the color of your skin and who doesn't feel that there's a difference. But yes, the question we have to address is, what are you in today's country? What do we call you? What do people call you when they see you, because you're a mixed race child? And of course, in South Africa, she would be known politically as an African child, but we've called her because in her eyes, she says, I'm not African, I'm a mix of daddy and I'm a mix of mommy, so what do you call me? And so for her sake, we've called her an Afro-Asian. She's half African, she's half Indian, and therefore we call her an Afro-Asian. She loves it, she gets the best of both worlds. She gets to play in Soweto and loves the kids there. When she's in Lane, she gets to play with her cousins and enjoys the perks of that. And so she really is not fazed by the color of the skin or whether her mummy is an Indian or her daddy is a black South African man. That doesn't faze in the least. She just enjoys the fact that we can enjoy our own culture, which I think is what we've developed in our home, is that we don't live like African people or Indian people. We've developed a culture that encompasses both Indian and African values and cultures and made it our own. And so that's how we live now, as a mixed race couple with a mixed race child, but being able to enjoy the cultures and the diversity of South Africa. I'd love Azania to grow up in a country where really people don't care about what color you are. And when they see you or when they talk, they don't make mention to your color. They don't say, oh, this African little child or this mixed race child or this Indian child. I'd really just love her to grow up in a country where people talk about, if they want to talk about a child or a person, they mention you by name, and that's it, not by the color of your skin. And I'd love for Azania to grow up in a country where women are openly accepted and have the freedom to share the things that they need to share, and not in a country where we've got to be so scared. For instance, she wants to go down to our shop the other day, and it's just down the road, and I had to explain to her that you can't go by yourself, and she's, why? I said, because you're a little girl. And unfortunately, because of what's been happening in our societies with trafficking and women and children getting kidnapped and stolen, I've had to explain these things to her. It's sad for me because my child is a little independent girl. She wants to be able to experience things for herself and do things on her own, but because of the things we're experiencing as women in our country today, I'm so concerned for my little girl, and I would just love her to be able to be free, walk down the road, have the sense of freedom and security and peace that I can go to a shop and come back and nothing can happen to me. And I can also be a little girl that can do anything I want to do regardless that I'm a girl, and I shouldn't be told when to talk and when not to talk. And so for me, I want to see Azania grow up in a country where we're not concerned about your gender, we're not concerned about the color of your skin, we're not concerned about your sexual preferences. Really, a country that accepts all and allows everyone to live as they choose.